Hello, I'm an Aussie metalhead. I am doing a bunch of classics. Hopefully by the end of the year, I do all 150. If you go to my Discord, you'll be able to see all of it. If you go to my Twitter, you'll be able to see all of the 150 albums. And Dark Side of the Moon is one of them. Most of Pink Floyd's major discography are on there, from Ummagumma Metal to Dark Side of the Moon, The Wall, Animals, that sort of thing. But I'm starting with Dark Side of the Moon because that's the one that everyone loves the most, and it's the most applauded one. I have no idea about Pink Floyd. I don't think I've ever heard Pink Floyd except in the background when my family was playing it. And even then, I don't even know if it was Pink Floyd, you know? So I'm jumping really blind into it. But all I know is that Dark Side of the Moon is considered one of the best albums of all time, up there with Abbey Road or Thriller, depending on the person, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, let's jump right into it. I've been notified by my family that I will be disowned if I don't like the album. I've been notified by my girlfriend that I don't deserve my family if I don't like the album, and I don't deserve a family if I don't like the album. So, high stakes, high stakes. Yeah, let's jump into it. I think the one thing I do know about Pink Floyd is that a lot of their songs transition into each other, which is something I've always found nifty. Kind of like how a one shot in movies are always sweet to listen. Oh, like watch. The production's actually this sounds really silly to just say off of an interlude whether it's just slight noises and it's not like in your face or whatever, but the production even on this is really nice. Like if you just played me this one minute snippet, I wouldn't have guessed it was 1973 if from the production things, because everything's still just within this interlude, because obviously I've listened to a lot of interludes of newer albums. Even just this interlude itself sounds pretty fresh and timeless. Ooh, that was such a clean transition. It sounds really gorgeous, and as I was touching on with the interlude, it sounds very fresh because I was just listening to a 2024 album, MKG, something in the Dream Police, and there was it's near psychedelia and mixed with bedroom pop, and aspects of the guitar actually sound very similar to this. And I know that Pink Floyd was one of the trendsetters for, or the trendsetter alongside maybe the Beatles or something for psychedelic rock. And I don't know what technically is neo psychedelia, but I know that I'm pretty sure listed as one of the genres on this album, or at least it was on the album that I was just listening to. And I don't know if that has something to do with the guitar strings in itself, because the similarities between the two albums that I was listening to. Um, yeah, so I'm saying all of this to that guitar sounds like it literally is just transported 50 years later in the album that I was just listening to. I'm probably gonna chuck up a snippet of that guitar, but yeah, from that album. But yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, yeah, I will chuck up that thing because this sounds yeah, they just sound like Pink Floyd, I guess. Like they just did a Pink Floyd aspect. Yeah.
believe me. Look around, choose your own ground.
I think like instrumentally they're a lot different, but I remember talking to my family because I got Dark Side of the Moon and then a bunch of the albums for my classic albums from asking why at my mum's wedding everyone, what's your favorite album, and then I just basically compiled them all, and I'm gonna react to them. Nearly every single one of them was considered like just a classic, like Fleetwood Mac, Rumors, Dark Side of the Moon, Animals, Creedence Clearwater Revival, and Led Zeppelin, that sort of stuff. But what I said, because I've heard like aspects of this album because my girlfriend has played like one or two tracks in it, and I wasn't paying full attention because I wanted to have like a first listen on camera. But what I noticed was vocally, um, it reminds me a lot of the Beatles. I don't know if I've only listened to Abbey Road in passing on a car trip, so I don't have like a full. I don't remember the tracks inherently, or apart from Here Comes the Sun or whatever. But like vocally, I said that Pink Floyd from just this album sounds like the Beatles. They sound very similar to me. And my family was like kind of insulted by that because I guess like Pink Floyd and the Beatles are the most like influential rock bands of all time, alongside maybe like Nirvana and Led Zeppelin. And so like saying one sounds like the other just sound like maybe it's a bit blasphemous. But instrumentally though, Pink Floyd does have a unique sound that I could see throughout like that I've heard a lot. Like they're like instrumentally very different, but vocally they sound, even in this song, very similar to the Beatles from my experience, which is only the late stage Beatles.
How you live, how you fly, smiles you'll give and tears you'll cry. All you touch and all you see is all your life will ever be. Run, rabbit, run. Dig that hole, get the sun. When at last the work is done, don't sit down, it's time to dig another one. How you live and how you fly, but only if you ride the tide. Balanced on the biggest wave, race towards an early grave.
I really like how each track is transitioning into each other. Also, it's just so polished. I don't know if I'm like overanalyzing it, but I really like the panning audio within it, and I think it's something that I feel like I don't know the history of music technology or whatever, but I feel like it's something that maybe I could take it for granted now because it's so easy to do with technology in the past like 30, 40 years, with like FL Studio and stuff like that, of panning the audio across like surround sounds and stuff like that. But then like thinking about like 1973 and then the level of technology that you had at that time, the level of work and required into that, I actually have no idea where would you even start. Like, do you just mess with the like amps or the chords in a way to do it? How did production necessarily look? Like, how did mixing and mastering look without having I guess like you had more analog stuff, but I don't even know how analog stuff works. I only know how digital stuff works, and not even well. I don't even know how digital stuff works well. So like I wonder if it's like a thing where it's like rather uncommon for the time to have panning audio in this sort of way to make it so three-dimensional and like textured, due to the fact that within digital technology now, it's so easy to do stuff like that because you just have a program that you can do and you can just use a slider and it will slide across it. But I wonder how they would do it at the time and how like painstaking that was to like perform. Yeah, because that's like the running, the like steps in the background, just like literally running through your ears in a perfect way. Like that's not by accident. It's not like it's not like you just maybe like unplugged a tiny bit of thing and then so it could go on the left and then go on the right and then you stuff like that. Like that is a deliberate mixing and mastering choice, and I to like a very polished extent. So I'm very curious on how they did that because I have no knowledge of like how they surpassed like the technological limitations of the time. This is so interesting 'cause this is not the like my like because Pink Floyd's a rock band, and I guess like my vague understandings of like The Wall, like the one I don't know the one music video where like there's like a bunch of stuff like there's marching and stuff like that. Like I didn't expect something like this where it was like it feels like the first remnants of like electronic music. Maybe I don't know when the first electronic music was, but like a lot of the soundscape feels like the first like what electronic music would end up like becoming and the foundations of it. And it's just interesting because like a lot of these I didn't expect it to be as instrumental instead of having vocals. And it doesn't take away from it because I have listened to a lot of instrumental music. Like I've listened to like some Aphex Twin and stuff like that, and I really enjoyed it. It's just not necessarily what I expected. I thought there was interludes where it was like one or two tracks that didn't have that much lyrics, but it feels like them kind of flexing in a non like in me saying this in a non-negative way, but like them kind of flexing their production skills and their instruments in a way to make like a soundscape that is quite unique, especially for the time. I also think I like this one more than Breathe, which I don't know if that's a hot take. I saw the streaming numbers, so maybe that is a hot take, but I feel like I like this one more than Breathe. It feels I don't know, it's just more pleasing to me. I think my understanding of Pink Floyd like history is a lot more than the music themselves because if I remember correctly, like there was like some rift within Pink Floyd due to the fact that like Roger Waters wanted to do I could be getting this all mixed up, but like the Wall movie or something like that. And I can kind of like when I'm thinking about that, it just reminded me this reminded me of that because the fact this sounds so cinematic. Like I can definitely see them like Pink Floyd being a very like the music is very cinematic. Like I could see this being played um in like a AAA blockbuster. I'm kind of surprised that this is like I feel like the most well-known Pink Floyd album so far, because I feel like the most popular stuff and the most streamed stuff of a time is like always of like a really good quality, but um, is like rather like not that experimental. Where like this doesn't seem like from our time, like the most popular artists is like Taylor Swift, The Weeknd, and that's like the sort of stuff where like it's not experimental at all. It's pretty like cookie cutter good. Even if there's like texture to it, and then like I don't know, even if there is like unique identifying qualities between it, it feels very palatable to anyone. Well, like it's kind of interesting that like this is the well-known Pink Floyd like album and one of the most well-known albums of all time, and it is of a pretty unique soundscape. But like I I don't know. When I think of music that every single person would be listening to, or what like a normal person would be listening to, this is not necessarily what I would think of. Um, like I guess I could think of like the most popular tracks of the Beatles, or like hair metal from the 80s or something like that. Like I don't necessarily think, oh, in the 70s, if I knew what this album sounded like and I didn't know that a lot of people did listen to Pink Floyd, I wouldn't have thought, oh, this is what everyone's listening to. Like everyone's listening to a predominantly instrumental track um during a time where there is like a lot of pop music and a lot of like I don't know, there's like Madonna's like 80s or something, but like there's stuff around this time. Like Led Zeppelin is something that I can be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Um, I guess am just kind of surprised that this is so popular. Um, because usually like I feel like a lot of really artistic stuff like this is considered like snooty or looked down upon. Um, like there's not a shit ton of people listening to Aphex Twin. There's not a and stuff like that, like very experimental music. Most people aren't listening to that. So it's really cool that the most popular band, like one of the most popular bands of all time, with one of the most popular albums, is such like an experimental, like unique, um, niche. It's like it feels niche, despite the fact that it's super mainstream. Feels like a niche soundscape. It's kind of cool that that's like one of the most popular. Maybe one of the reasons that it's so popular, as someone who has no idea about it, is I feel like I could put this on at any time, anywhere. Like I feel like I could play this at any time, and it would be enhancing my experience. Like it would. This is not like a criticism, but it wouldn't be distracting me from anything that I'm doing. Um, but it would just be providing a lot of like lush, I don't know, enjoyable sounds in the background. Um, and I could also see that if you're high or something like that, like you could be definitely focusing on how rich the sounds are. Like it's not devoid of active listening. Like you can actively listen to it and get more out of it. But it's also very easy, I feel, to just put this on in the background, put it on in a car trip, when you're talking to your friends or whatever. Like if it yeah, it feels very versatile with the amount of places that you are able to play like listen play it. And maybe that's the reason why it's so popular compared to like something that I would normally think would be popular, like a Michael Jackson or something like that. It's just interesting. I can't get out the fact that I just did not this is not what I was expecting. Like I with Pink Floyd, because they're a rock band, I was expecting um something like Led Zeppelin or like the Beatles or something like that. And vocally that on that Breathe track, that I think the vocals are similar, but in general, like I feel like that something like this has more in common with like Hans Zimmer scores than it does like a quintessential normal rock band. Um, and that is just, as I said, like really fascinating to me that it is so popular and so well regarded. Um, and it's more in line with like an instrumental or a score for a movie than it is like an album in itself. It's just interesting.
Taking away the moments that make up a dull day.
Oh,
Fritter and waste the hours in an offhand way. Picking around on a piece of ground in your hometown.
I think this is definitely my favorite track so far. Like the instrumental in the first like 2 minutes is really good, and then the vocals here hit harder for me than in Breathe. Even though Breathe, like I feel like it's very hard to even rate anything. Like my scale is 0 to 11 because average, like if you average out a track, like I use average track average ratings to detail what an album rating is, and I feel like it is, if you I want a 10 out of 10 album, not every single song needs to be a 10. So like some songs can be an 11, like literally some of the best of all time, and then one other track can be an 8 and 9, and then it averages out to a 10, right? Um, and like I feel like it's very hard under my like rating system to give anything so far below a 10. Um, but like I so like Breathe is still a 10 to me or something, or maybe 11. I'm not sure. I would have to re-listen to it. But like with time, this one instantly with the vocals and with the instrumentals is like more fascinating to me. And the vocals are unbelievable here. And so like time, it's already like this is my favorite track so far on the album. I liked On the Run's instrumentals a lot, but yeah,
Waiting for
this is my
someone
favorite.
or something to show you the way. Tired of lying in the sunshine, staying home to watch the rain. And you are young and life is long, and there is time to kill today. And then one day you find 10 years have gone behind you. No one told you when to run. You missed the starting gun.
I can like I feel like a common complaint of like One Day Music is that we lack the solo like instrumental solos and stuff like that, either a saxophone solo or like a guitar solo or whatever. And we do miss that. And I remember like we don't have that, and I can see that being a criticism. And I remember talking about it to a few of my friends and a few of my family members that I think like a massive reason why solos have become um like gone away within modern day music is due to the fact that like if a solo isn't amazing, it kind of ruins the momentum of a track, and makes it harder to replay. And then the like world of streaming, instead of just sitting down and listening to an album, it is imperative to have that song be as replayable as possible. So I feel like that is the reason why solos have gone out of favor. But my lord, is it something that like when it's done amazing, it's like done really well. It is something that is like truly lacking in music if you don't have it. And this solo is like just like this is an unbelievable solo. And it would suck to think that like how many solos like this we're just missing out on in the last like 20 years of music because we just don't have solos anymore. Like that's yeah. This is definitely one of the best songs I've ever heard. Like Jesus, like there is so much going on. Um and it is just all perfect and all um synergistic. Like this is amazing.
Hanging on in quiet desperation is the English way. The time is gone, the song is over. Thought I'd something more to say. Home again. I like to be here when I can. When I come home cold and tired, it's good to warm my bones beside the fire. Far away across the field, the tolling of the iron bell calls the faithful to their knees. You hear the softly spoken magic spell.
I'll go back just to make sure because every single song has had a transition. But I remember before I started listening to albums, the reason I started listening to albums is because I just haven't really heard any of them, but I really loved music. And every single year, it was something like 20 to 30% of my year by Spotify Wrapped would be just me listening to music. But it would be the same like artists that I found when I was in high school and stuff. I'm 23 now. So it'd be just that repeated ever since I was like 15 or 16. And realizing that I just haven't heard like a lot of this music, and then everyone wanted me to listen to this music, and I found it very hard to like think just sitting down listening to an album wasn't a waste of time, because there isn't like a productivity added to it. It's the reason why I made this channel. It's like it gives me an excuse to do it and make it feel like enough of a job that I can actually sit down and listen to music and be a part, like give myself that pass. And I remember before listening to any album, um, long tracks that were like a past like 5 6 minutes, I would dread. And when I first like my first album I ever did was College Dropout by Kanye West. There's a 12-minute song at the end there. And after I listened to that song and I realized like, oh, it kept my attention the entire time and I enjoyed it the entire time. I kind of look forward to the really long songs on every album that is considered great. Because it's like, if that album is considered great and they have a song that is super long, um, like there is no shot in the world that that is the one song that isn't perfect. Like that is going to be the perfect song. And there's something that like you just can't get out of like a 2 minute song the same way that you can get out of like a 7 minute, this sounds wild to say, 7 minute epic. Or when it comes to song form, like this is easily my favorite song so far on the album. Technically there's kind of just only been three because like Speak to Me is an intro to Breathe. But yeah, this like it's very hard to top a really well done like long track. Mm. I've heard of this like track mentioned, but I haven't listened to it. I know that's like the one that most people consider the best. Mm. Mm.
And I am not frightened of dying. Any time will do, I don't mind. Why should I be frightened of dying? There's no reason for it, you've got to go sometime.
I'm sorry to pause it. I feel like it's hard to pause within something that feels like such a beautiful art piece, but then also it's like a reaction. So like my thoughts are part of the reason that you're coming in. But I found what I find so interesting is like with a lot of the older albums that that I listen to, or what a lot of the classics stuff like that, I can kind of hear the influences that stem from it. And I use influences in particular because it feels like they like build upon it or something like that. Where like within this song and within one of the other songs, the way that the guitar is and the way that the sound effects are on the guitar, it kind of actually doesn't even feel like there's influence that people are taking from this. It feels like they're straight ripping that guitar. Like they're straight being like, oh, that sound, I'm going to perfect making that sound. Like I'm perfecting the copy of that sound. Not like I'm going to listen to this and I'm trying to build upon it because I have some ideas about it. It's like it straight up feels like the guitar in this song is straight copied in so much music. And I feel like I I don't know I don't know how people feel about that one when it comes to copyright or anything, but I feel like if we're just strictly talking about influence and how like and using that as a gauge of how amazing a band is or something, um the idea that this is like the first time I've listened to something and I'm like, oh, that I know I don't only hear remnants of this in other music. I hear exactly what they're doing copied in music. Is a massive that I feel like that's a massive praise where it's like you were so influential, people don't even try and reiterate on your sounds. They just copy your sounds. Um 50 years on. That is that's like that's fascinating. Because I knew Pink Floyd was really influential, but I didn't know for these things, right? Like I've never listened to it, so I didn't know. Like I just knew they were massive. I knew they had some of the best albums of all time. I know they have the best, like the best or like a top three album cover of all time with Dark Side of the Moon. I just didn't know why. Like I couldn't pick, like I just didn't know enough about that. I knew everything around it, but instead of like actually sitting down and experiencing it, I knew a lot of it, but like, but I didn't have the experience. And experiencing it now, I could like it provides more context between like other stuff that I'm listening to. And what I really like, I said this on one of the other classic album things. I think it was for the Beastie Boys. It's I love listening to these new albums, or like these older albums that I consider classics, and they're new to me because it creates like a more vivid picture of like the history of like art and music to me. And it connects like so many dots that I didn't even know existed, like the or connections that I didn't even know existed before. And that is just such a exhilarating and fun experience to have, is being able to connect those dots. Because like yeah, it's just so cool. It like makes my appreciation for art so much more rich, and in ways that I never knew. Like, but like, and it's so fun because I know that this will happen every single time I listen to a classic album. This will happen. It's predictably unpredictable in the ways that it will enrich my experience with music, and it's so cool. I love it. I'm sorry I paused right before that. I'm actually going to go back and re-listen to that build-up because that was a sick drop. What's so interesting about like this is it is like quite unique, despite the fact that I've heard so many parts of this like copied so much. And there's something like very familiar about this. I know I've heard this song once in the car before, but it doesn't feel familiar in the sense of like I've heard it once in a car. It's like it feels familiar in like a I don't know, like an intrinsic level that this feels familiar to me. And listening to this, it it's I feel like it's a very rare experience when I like you listen to something and you have like the experience I'm about to describe, where it's like I'm listening to this and it almost feels futile for anyone to try and recreate this, if that makes sense. Like it's like you can't do it like whatever Pink Floyd is trying to do here. If you try and do it yourself, you're just going to come short because they've already perfected it. Like they've already like they haven't just set the standards. Like they've set a standard that you no longer can surpass. It's kind of like if Usain Bolt didn't put his thumbs up at the end of his like world record gold medal, and instead of getting like a 9.49 or something, he got like a 9.3 because he didn't put his thumbs up. It's like you're never going to beat that. Like that's not going to happen unless we like 300 years in the future and we just decide to like break the realms of what like music is or whatever. In the same way with running, it's like you're never going to beat this. So like don't even try. Don't like try and find your own lane. Like because if you're trying to do exactly this, you know you're not going to be able to surpass it. Mm. I'm sorry if I'm not talking as much as I should be. Because usually I talk more in these videos, but there's like certain passages in these songs where it just like feels like disrespectful to pause it. Um, and like as some of you are probably watching, you're probably experiencing that, like with me even pausing it in general. Like because you just like I know a lot of the time when I listen to reactions, there's like certain parts where it's like you kind of want to hear the song and then hear their thoughts, but then they're pausing it in opportune times due to the fact that they've never heard the album before. But like I feel like this I feel more self-aware about that with this album because like these passages feel like you're just meant to sit there and feel them. You're not meant to talk over them. Like you're not meant to be like, oh, this reminds me of so many things. Like it's just you're meant to just feel it. Um, yeah, because like that progression and everything, just gorgeous. It's really gorgeous. I think I don't know if this is a hot take or anything, but like so far like Time and The Great Gig in the Sky stand out like as like best songs of all time, and like the other two are just like they're perfect, but like these these two feel like best songs of all time material. Um yeah, I wonder if like it's gonna keep that up because I've heard of The Great Gig in the Sky, I've heard of Breathe, I vaguely have heard of Time, I think, just like as a thing on the album. Never like heard the actual songs, but vaguely heard of them. Um, so I just wonder how like the last stretch of 5 songs will do. Mm. Like this is something that probably everyone has spoken about on some level, but I kind of really like the title of the tracks and then like what sound effects that they're using. Like Breathe using a lot of breathing, On the Run using like the panning steps, Time using obviously the clocks, Great Gig in the Sky, I guess using an angelic voice, and then Money obviously using all that. It's like it it's not like revolutionary, like oh no one could ever possibly come up with this, but it's very like I don't know, it's really cool and nifty, especially with how well they make it. Yeah. It's very creative. It's creative execution on like a rather simple idea. I wonder with like because growing up, you obviously see a lot of street performers that use like loops where like they start with one like clap and then they use that as a beat and then they do it. I wonder where that started. Like because obviously we at some point like there was just we had the technology to be able to do that, and I wonder what caused it to be popular. And I don't know if this is just a shot in the dark because I don't know like anything past even like I don't even know much 70s and 60s. So like anything past that I am well in the dark. But I wonder if like Pink Floyd very much popularized that sort of like loop band sort of aspect of like that one man band that has like all of the pedals to be able to make these things, because like using like the money, the jangles of the money, which kind of actually sounds like a bit of a hi-hat in some regards, um, and then like using that mixed with like the closing of a cash register and that sort of thing to like loop to make like a very textured sonic thing that sounds like a very much in style of a one man band in like that would be doing it like busking for money and stuff like that. And I wonder if this like if Pink Floyd popularized that or not. like I straight up have no idea if I've heard these songs before a lot of the time now, or if I've just heard so many people doing like covers or something without me realizing, or just hearing like the influence of them. Because every single song on this feels so unbelievably familiar. Um,
Ball team. Money, get back. I'm alright, Jack. Keep your hands off of my stack. Money, it's a hit. Don't get me back to good bullshit. I'm in the high fidelity first class traveling section. I think I need a lift jet.
I like the incorporation, especially of the time. I don't know how popular it was. All I know is like the history of like the Grammys or whatever, where like I think like in the 1960s, like R&B was not called R&B, it was called race music or something like that. As a part of subjugating it, and I guess like there's a lot of like Elvis Presley that was inspired by a lot of black church rock and stuff like that. And it could just be an aspect of that where like Pink Floyd is playing with a lot of like black music and able to do it to a point where like it's like sort of normalized to do that. I don't know if it was normalized at the time, but like from a thinking back from like a third party perspective and looking at like the history of the time around like the 60s and 70s and the amount of racism that came about to the point where like even like the biggest art institutions like Grammys weren't awarding R&B music with in this same way that they should, because obviously calling it race music and all of that's racist. I really like Pink Floyd's use of like jazz. There's some fusions of jazz. There's a lot of genre fusion here, which is really cool, and a lot of genre fusions with what would usually be considered, to my knowledge at the time, considered black music and stuff like that. Like the incorporation of like I even don't know exactly what blues is. I just know blues is a thing and it's a part of rock. But like I'm assuming blues, I'm assuming some jazz, and then like the singer felt rather like R&B-ish, like Aretha Franklin-ish, as someone that has no knowledge on it. um, just knowing the history of it rather than the actual music itself. But like seeing all of this genre fusion together is actually really cool, and I don't know if that was like very progressive or trend-setting at the time, or if there was stigma around it. Usually, where like, oh, you don't put that because that's like the uppity music and stuff like that. Like I don't know if that still carried on forth to the point of like 1973 with Pink Floyd, but it is nice to see that. And as someone who doesn't have a full, rich understanding of it, there is like a world where that was very trendsetting and very progressive at the time. And if that is the case, then I commend it a lot because it makes for a lot more interesting and captivating music. What I'm finding interesting is like obviously the song was title money. It started off with like a money thing, but then without me even realizing it's transitioned into this, which doesn't really have any money with it, and like sonic through lines, like it doesn't really have like anything on the same loop or anything. It just kind of transitioned out of that without like in such a natural way that I didn't even really pick up on it until like I was listening to sax and then being like, oh, I looked at the money. I was like, oh, do I still hear any of the money like start like sound effects? No. And that's sort of like transition for you to like for them to be able to do it sound within the song enough and natural enough, especially with unique sounds like the money jangling and stuff like that. To do all of that and transition to this point without me even noticing is really cool. Like that, like that's really skillful. I'll again, I don't know why I have a knack for literally pausing right before the drop, but I'm going to go back and listen to that for you. For ever like I don't know, like listening to that, for everything to be as sonically rich as it is, it feels like usually it would be like a lightning in the bottle sort of thing. I don't know if Pink Floyd has made stuff as good as Dark Side of the Moon. I know that like a lot of people like The Wall and Animals and all of that, and they put and Wish You Were Here, and all of them is like put in like relatively the same category as Dark Side of the Moon in quality, but I don't know how different they are. Specifically, I think like a lot of those albums are more, from my knowledge, this could also be wrong considering I was wrong when it came to Dark Side of the Moon. But they feel like my understanding is like they're more vocally driven. And I'm touching on that because like this feels like such a perfect like evolved version of like instrumentation altogether, and it feels like it would be a lightning in the bottle situation because the level of like craft at work, the level of thought and stuff like that would feel like almost inhuman to be able to come up with like all of these aspects playing into each other so well to create such a perfect like piece of music. Like it feels like it would just have to be off straight vibes or like lightning in the bottle sort of thing that is very hard to capture again. And I would find it very interesting listening to like their other music to see if they captured the same sort of thing, because this definitely feels like there it is so complex and dynamic and texturally rich with so many different sonic ideas going onto each other, like looping into each other and like flowing all together, that it almost it begs belief that you would be able to do this twice. Like already being able to do it so many times on single tracks, and working so cohesively together is already, you shouldn't be able to do that. But if you like the idea of you being able to do it again in another album, it's like you either have to have like an Albert Einstein level of like music knowledge and like intellect to be able to do this multiple times, or you just were very talented and like I don't use lucky as a way to disparage it, but like kind of lucky with like the level of lightning in the bottle sort of thing where like all of your neurons were firing at the right perfect time. This one time it's like wouldn't have, and you're able to make this like it's so cohesive and so textured and so late, and there's so many things going on sonically that it just all perfectly fit together. It feels impossible to happen.
I certainly was in the right.
Yeah, it's definitely like he was cruising for bruising.
I don't know, I was really drunk at the time. He just told me it was a he was asking why it wasn't coming up on 3011. So after I yelling and screaming and telling him why it wasn't coming up on 3011. A heavy blood up started to matter out. He just told me, I don't know, I was really drunk at the time.
That transition was so pretty. Yeah, like as I said, like everything is so cohesive, it's insane. And it usually it's like when you use transitions between tracks, it's kind of like it can be like style over substance when you use transitions over tracks. It always works for me the same way that one shots is always works for me. But like having the title interlock with the sounds as well as they do, and the transitions and all of that, like start like that's cohesive in itself, and that feels like stuff that you can just like kind of somewhat easily do, or force to happen, but have that to naturally happen with also like every aspect of the song changing and being dynamic and being cohesive altogether. Having all of these pieces all work together, it's like this is the most cohesive album I think I will probably ever hear, where like everything like I usually say like, oh, this song feels like a complete thought sometimes, where it's like, oh, this there was clearly a direction here, and you went and did it. Well, like this entire album feels like there was so much thought put into it, like an unbelievable amount of thought put into it, and because there is no other way it could be this cohesive and like layered. like this song is not what I expected. Like even within this album, like if I was finishing Money, would if you described this song to me, would you be like, oh, do you think that's the next song that's popping up? And it's like no. Um, and then in that vein, I feel like a lot of albums today, they don't necessarily have like as much album cohesion where they're like tracks put together, and they don't transition into each other. They don't do that sort of thing. It's like the pacing of the album, um, is like almost like only 40 to 50% thought of, if thought of at all. And this song, like if you told me what Money would sound like, and then into this song, my first thoughts wouldn't be that they're like like they are well joined, but it's like it feels strange because this shouldn't fit as well as it does, and it shouldn't feel as cohesive as it does sonically because it sounds so different from the last track. But it again, I just go back to like it feels sort of like a lightning in the bottle that it just does sound this cohesive. Like every single track blends into each other so unbelievably well, despite the fact that like it is really dynamic in sound. Like none of these songs sound the same. And yeah.
Up, and down, and in the end, it's only round and round, round and round, 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 round. Haven't you heard? It's a battle of words.
Like I haven't really heard anyone say us and them from Dark Side of the Moon, right? Like I've heard Breathe mentioned, I've heard The Greatest Gig in the Sky mentioned, I vaguely have heard Times mentioned. I've never heard this song mentioned, and it is definitely one of my favorite. Like this one, like I thought Money was on the same level as Great Gig in the Sky and Time in some ways, but I feel like this one is even a bit better than Money. But like it feels like it feels strange because it's like oh, all of these feel like they would be like top 50 tracks of all time that I've listened to. So it feels very hard to pass it out, but like I do think that this one, I like more than Money, just by the fact that even Money sounded like it was on the same level as like Time and Great Gig in the Sky. idea, but I have a feeling that like I think I might even like this one more than Great Gig in the Sky, Money. I feel like it's like this and Time might be my favorite tracks. I like if I look at I'll just look at the streaming numbers. Time, oh, all right, Time is streamed a lot. Um, Great Gig in the Sky, I thought that was streamed more often. I thought that was like with Breeze on the most streamed, but it's Time, Money. That's so interesting because like I would say that Us and Them and Time are my favorite. So I am only a hipster in one of the songs. Um, but yeah, yeah. This isn't it's a phenomenal track, and I'll pull it back just a tiny bit just in case there's like a transition. So, yeah. Sonically so different. This one's good, but I think it might be so far my least favorite. Um, yeah, it's good, but I don't know. I will see where it goes, but like it doesn't. I don't know. It just doesn't feel as textured as the other ones. Like from the last time I spoke to like now, it's more interesting. I like it more.
The lunatic is on the grass. The lunatic is on the grass. Remembering games and daisy chains and laughs. Got to keep the loonies on the path. The lunatic is in the hall. The lunatics are in my hall. The paper holds their folded faces to the floor. And every day the paper boy brings more. And if the dam breaks open many years too soon, and if there is no room upon the hill.
Alright, now I'm going to bring back the blasphemous statement. Because it's actually throughout the entire thing. I just think that the instruments are so different that I just didn't bring it up. And I just didn't say it. But like, the vocals here, very Beatles. Very Beatles. And it makes me wonder, if you really like Pink Floyd, but you don't like the Beatles, why is that? Is it just like, oh, if you don't like the vocals, why? What do you like about the Pink Floyd vocals that you don't like about the Beatles vocals? I can see someone liking Pink Floyd and not the Beatles. Let's say the first from 1965, like their earliest stuff, is it 1963 or 65 to 1967, right? If you don't like the Beatles then, or whatever, and you like Pink Floyd, I can kind of understand that because the instrumentals are so different. From like my understanding of it, because like the earlier stuff is a more poppy sort of thing, where I heard when I listened to some of the Abbey Road, like there was like strong guitars I did not expect in there, and like almost grungy level guitars. But like I think it's just in general, I could understand it if you don't like the Beatles but you like Pink Floyd, and the reason you like Pink Floyd is the instrumentals, but vocally I just could not understand why you wouldn't like those. Because they sound like whatever snooty opinions about like hating the Beatles someone has, I feel like that has to, like, if it's vocally, has to carry over to Pink Floyd because they sound so similar to me in this album at least.
And if your head explodes with dark forebodings too.
Like, I think that's Rogers Waters. I actually have no idea. They've had so many changes, but like the lead vocalist there, right there, just sounds like Paul McCartney.
I'll see you on the dark side of the moon. The lunatic is in my head. The lunatic is in my head. You raise the blade, you make the change, you rearrange me till I'm sane. You lock the door, throw away the key. There's someone in my head, but it's not me. And if the cloud bursts, thunder in your ear, you shout and no one seems to hear.
I really like the sonic callback to Greatest Gig in the Sky. That's like, I really like that.
I'll see you on the dark side of the moon.
Alright, Joker. The transitions are godly. Like, I've said it a million times, but what the fuck?
All that you touch and all that you see, all that you taste, all you feel, and all that you love, and all that you hate, all you distrust, all you save, and all that you give, and all that you deal, and all that you buy, big borrow or steal, and all you create, and all you destroy, and all that you do, and all that you say, and all that you eat, and everyone you meet, and all that you slight, and everyone you fight, and all that is now, and all that is gone, and all that's to come, and everything under the sun is in June, but the sun is eclipsed by the moon.
Even having this, which calls back to the start. Yeah, I love it. Everything's so cohesive. Hmm. Yeah, I can kind of understand why this is so highly applauded. Also, to call back, to go back to what I said at the start, where it's like kind of interesting how this, my like at the start, I was thought this is very experimental, that sort of thing, and kind of see how like, um, the like second half of this album is like it is kind of like more so in the line of like what I would expect from like a band that is so popular. And it's kind of cool that they have that aspect as well. Like I was touching on, was like it's kind of cool that they have this experimental thing. I would not expect it to be the most popular, and it's kind of cool that it was, because usually you have like the most palatable thing that is the most popular at the time. And it kind of feels like from this, where like they have a lot of experimental aspects to them, but they're like more palatable side of themselves was so good that the average normal person who like just listens to music to listen to music that doesn't like it's not a hobby of theirs, right? Or doesn't like necessarily care too much about art, just likes listening to music. It's kind of interesting that it seems like maybe like the second half of this album, and stuff like that was so. It's just so good that they're happy to put up with the start of the experimental stuff. Um, and that's like yeah, it's just kind of my read at the moment, because like I don't expect like an instrumental thing, especially in the 70s when you have Beatles, when you have Led Zeppelin, when you have Queen and stuff like that. I just would not expect instrumental stuff to be super popular if that was just a band that only did instrumental stuff. Um, yeah, but I really appreciated the instrumental stuff. I think the worst song, if I had to pick, which seems mean because all of it, I loved all of it, is Any Color You Would Like, but I have no idea if that's just first listen or something like that. It just feels like momentum was a tiny bit different between those tracks. But yeah, an unbelievable album. And I can understand why everyone in my family and then also my girlfriend would be like, yeah, if you don't like it, what's wrong with you? Because it feels like a very hard album. Like, no matter what, even if you're like the most normal person that hates instrumental stuff, um, it feels like there's going to be songs on here that you enjoy. like it feels like impossible to not like the album. Um, yeah, like if you are open-minded, I feels like you will find this album incredible. If you are even closed-minded, it feels like you would find at least one aspect of the album really good. So it feels really hard to just hate the album. I don't I feel like that person doesn't exist, and if that person does exist, is just to be like a shit, like a little shithead. But yeah, I appreciate all of you. Thank you for watching. This album was amazing, and I love, 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 love listening to classic albums. I just can't wait to do it more. I'm doing one a day. It's really nice. So thank you. Bye.